turn into rejection. I know it's only redirection. I see the blessings right beside me. The chances of quitting are likely. I do it like I'm in my Nikes. Don't make excuses, they never excite me. Boxes, I cannot fit in the boxes. Stop it. Quitting was never an option. Exhausted. This passion is never exhausted. And you cannot stop it. Nah, you cannot stop it.
Oh, what's up, YouTube? Welcome back. The boys are back in town. I'm your guy, Hector. Like always, chilling with my brothers. I got my guy, Mr. Phil Porto, Jiggaman Porto, and introducing Jerry Ferrara to the Knicks Morning Brew. Fellas, good morning.
Good morning, brother.
Yo, the boys are back with an extra. What up, Jerry? What up, Heck? What up, Phil?
I just like football's great. Let's start basketball season. Enough is enough. I'm ready to go. Let's just get it started. I can't take this no more.
Let's get it rocking. First and foremost, shout out to the chat. If you're watching this for the first time, please hit that subscribe button, hit that like button as well. I see we already got a few people in the chat, but so I'm gonna throw it to you. You want to start off the roll call, or how you want to do it? I'm a bit nervous right now.
I think we're gonna hold back on the roll call because we just started back right now, season 2, Knicks Morning Brew, and we've got a guest. I mean, what other way can you kick off this season, guys? You know, we had to go back to a loyal friend from last season. Woody blessed us twice last year, right? And now here we are again, and we are literally 3 days away. But there's topics we got to address today. Like there's serious stuff going on. I figure this is probably the best guy to join. So, guys, without further ado, let's bring him up, the man himself, ladies and gentlemen, Bill Pidto. What's up, Bill?
Man, how can you not be jacked up after all of this? What an open you guys have, man. We're ready. Thank you guys for having me. I guess it's a big thrill to be asked back, because sometimes, as we all know, we're not asked back. It's great to be asked back.
Bill, you are a legend.
Bill, you know, he didn't answer right away, and I was like, oh, he might not want to come back. And then he was like, oh, hey, of course. I was like, all right, we're in, guys. We're off to a good start. Bill, I'm going to start off right off the gate, right? Let's get some of the main topics out of the way, all right? And I've got a serious one for you. Everybody's ready to talk Knicks. Everybody's ready to talk about everything. But my concern is, how is the MSG Network crew? Are you guys in game shape? Are you guys ready to get it going? Are the marbles out of the mouth? What's preparation like for you, Bill?
We're ready to roll. We Wednesday is, as we all know, opening night. We do not have the game. It's on national TV. So we got a pregame at 6:30, then our postgame coverage after the game. I was able to, we didn't have studio shows, but I was involved with the preseason broadcast. So I know I'm ready. And I'm sure Han's ready. Actually, Alan and I called one of the games. We called the Minnesota game. And so, yeah, and Wally's been calling the game. So we're all ready to go. We're all real excited. You know, this is when you make the case here. I think we have the highest expectations for this team that we've had in probably 10 to 12 years. So it's very, very exciting.
Yeah. No, 100%. Can't disagree with that, Bill. And I got to ask you, Bill, before we get into it, like Celso said, we're getting ready for the season. Coming into the season, did you do any vocal training? Did you loosen up your fingers? What was the keys that you were focusing on this offseason?
Hey, man, I'm in shape 24/7, 12 months of the year.
Heard you. That's how the pros do it.
Well, it's funny because what Bill just said, actually, Jerry, you and I were talking about this. So I kind of want to throw it over here. He segued us really perfect because he made a statement about being prepared, being ready, and the expectations around this team. So I'll let you pick it up on that because we talked about this a little bit.
Well, Bill, look, I've been a Knicks fan since I could remember, and expectations aren't something typically that we've always had in the last few years, but now it just all feels different. And we had some expectations, that season, the COVID year, surprised everybody. Then there was some expectations that following year and a little bit of a disappointment that next year. But this just feels different. This time it feels like there are expectations that are worthy. We didn't really catch people by surprise. I think it was all real. And I'm trying to figure out, because for me, it's always about playoff games, getting the playoffs, right? As a Knicks fan, I just want to watch playoff games. And are those realistic options, meaning, top 6 teams? I don't want to mess with that playing game. So how do you tell Knicks fans to sort of, I don't want to say manage their expectations? It's a long year, but expectations and having them, which is not always familiar territory for us.
Well, I don't know where you guys were a year ago, but I think last year we were all hoping for playing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then you win a playoff series for the first time since the Melo era. And you have another year with the addition of DiVincenzo. I think one of the big themes, people say, well, why did they make a lot of moves? I think they really believe players like Grimes, RJ, Mitch. I mean, this is still a young core that they really think can still get better. That's the first thing. And you have Randall, who is, all NBA 2 of the last 3 years. And they also think Brunson can be even better. So I think the thought is that with another year together, with these younger guys getting more experience, with the addition of DiVincenzo, I don't think it's unrealistic to think that they could be, if things break right, maybe third in the East.
Mm.
Yeah, it's like, I was talking to a lot of other Knicks fans like about the moves and the lack thereof, only really making one. But sometimes if you look around, continuity is the move. Bringing guys back and actually now being in year 2 with pretty much the same roster almost is a move within itself. So do you feel like continuity could play a big factor?
Absolutely. So you look at Boston, top 6, obviously phenomenal. After 6, big fall off. Bucks, they got Lillard, but they have a rookie coach. Can Giannis stay healthy? Philadelphia with a Harden saga, who knows with them. Miami, I think, is compromised. Yes, Hero is back, but they lost Gabe Vincent and Max Strus. Who else we talking here? Now, maybe, I don't know. Chicago gets better. I don't know. Indiana.
Mm-hmm. A lot of people, they
Brooklyn.
like to say Charlotte, but Charlotte's going through their own turmoil that they're dealing with right now with everything that's going on off the court with Charlotte. So to Bill's point, the top 2 dogs are going to be Milwaukee and Boston. Philly's going through what they're going through right now. Are they going to keep MB? Most likely they're going to keep him. But what's going to happen with James Harden? So there's a lot of different variables that are going on in the East at the moment.
I would say third would be possible. And I last year, that was not anything any of us would be talking about before the opening night.
Yeah, I'm about to say, especially 2 days before opener, I don't think anybody on this panel would be like, yeah, 3 seed all the way.
Because, guys, you look 1 through 9. Okay, think about it. Off the bench, you got Quick, Hart, DiVincenzo, and Hartenstein.
Mm-hmm.
And if you got to go to Sims and McBride, that wouldn't be the end of the world. But I would make the case that 1 through 9, they're among the deepest teams in the entire league.
Mm-hmm. No,
yeah, that was the strength, was defense and that second unit. And just one way I think they could improve, like what I would love to see, right? Last year they were, 23 wins at home and had 24 wins on the road, which is that's, again, we beat expectations. 4-1 in the playoffs. I really would love to see that same road performance, but step up the home record. They were 23-18. If they could add 3 or 4 wins onto that and stay where they were on the road last year, then you're talking about you're a 50-win team theoretically. And then we saw what the home court could do in the playoffs. I mean, the Cavs, to me, when they walked into Game 3, I don't know what you thought of that, Bill, but that we saw everything we needed to see after Game 3 in that Cavs series with how that home crowd was.
I forgot to bring up the Cavs because their bench was a huge problem in that series, and they added Strus and they added Niang.
Yep.
So that's important to consider to go with that starting group. Their bench they played like 6 guys.
Mm-hmm.
So those guys, Strus can really help them, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Niang,
if you can,
2 good shooters. 2 good
So
shooters.
if you could bring up that super chat real quick, I want to shout
let me
out
give
our
a
guy.
shout out.
Go ahead.
Ron Hansley Jr. with the 1999 super chat. He's ready for the season to start. What's good, my Knicks Morning Brew fam? Excited to be in MSG for the home opener on Wednesday. The Garden will be rocking. Yeah, Ron, we're going to start rocking now. Did you hear the intro music? All right, we're all ready to drink coffee, dance, and talk Knicks. Phil, go ahead. I know you're going to say something.
Yeah, no. So the Cavs, I think, are one of those teams to look at because, like you said, their bench was their issue. And if you look, one thing that helped us against the Cavs was, the fact that we had the option to switch it up against them in, the playoff series. They talked about being able to automatically switch, and us having that fast pace off the bench offense was hard for them to defend. And so they didn't really have much to do when it came to their second unit being able to compete against us. And if you look at those 2 shooters, those are 2 shooters that destroyed us all throughout the season. Anytime we played Philly, especially in the Garden, Niang was all of a sudden a celebrity. And same thing with Strus. Strus killed us in the playoffs when it came to threes. So I think in order for us to clinch that third seed that you're talking about, our perimeter defense needs to be way better than it was last year, because we had good defense, but our perimeter defense is always where we struggled, always having to jump out on that 3-point line after the shooter was already taking the shot. So making sure we're not doing that. We saw a little bit of that in the preseason, unfortunately. So I'm hoping that between preseason and start of the season, that's kind of a kink that gets worked out, because in the paint, we're doing well. But I feel like from the three, we still need to defend a little bit better.
Also need on offense to hit more threes.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a big, yep.
Do you put a lot of stock into the preseason, Bill?
Nah, not really. You know, there's the rotation was not what it is going to be, except for the last game. And Hart was in and out of the lineup. Brunson didn't play a lot of minutes. I not at all. Not one iota.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, neither do I. I think that's a mistake to look at the preseason. I mean, you could maybe, look at some of the younger guys who are trying to show something to make a roster or extend a contract. But yeah, I don't put too much stock in the preseason at all. I was just flashing back to being at the Garden for Game 2 of the Knicks Heat series and really just wanting that. It would just be so nice to have a little home court advantage. I can't believe we're talking about home court advantage, but yeah, I think competing for that 3 or 4 seed would be good. But let's just get in the playoffs, fellas. Let's just get in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
well, you want to be nothing. You want nothing to do with the play-in. That play-in is a landmine. It's
wild.
So you got to be top 6.
Mm-hmm. Bill, last time we had you on the show, I brought up the topic about consistency, right? And I see someone in the chat. I just want to pull it up real quick. My guy Forever Nick said, glad to hear Bill has high expectations for the season. And I just want to point to that real quick, because as a Yankee fan, it was a horrible season this year. And at the end of the year, Susan Warman and John Sterling was talking about reruns of Frasier's instead of watching the Yankee game at the time. So I want to ask you, Bill, coming into this season with the expectations being that high, 3 seasons in a row, the culture change that has happened inside of Madison Square Garden. Can you just speak on that real quick going into this season?
Well, my thing with this coach and this team, and obviously the league has gone into a different path here with load management. The Knicks play hard. The Knicks don't need to worry about load management. And one of the things I think that I really like about this coach and this team is that they play every single night. Julius Randle obviously got hurt last year. I think he's missed like 8 games total in his whole 4-year run. I mean, he is always able to play. We always talk about a key ability is availability, and these guys are always available. So they play hard every single game, and I think that gives them a huge edge in the regular season. And and it's something that I really respect with this. I mean, if you watch Tom Thibodeau in the preseason, guys, he coaches every possession like it's Game 6 in the Eastern Conference Finals. So that's what I love about this coach, and that's what I love about this team.
Yeah, what I love too is it was after, I think it was the 3rd preseason game where they were asking Julius, about the rotations and all that. He's like, come on, man, it's Tibbs. We will all be back to our 35 plus minutes soon enough. All right. He's like, wait till next week. But the fact is, I love that we do have a squad of guys that had a whole season of playing that last year, that they already know that mindset this year of, you better be ready to play. And hopefully that cardio is there to match, because it seems like everybody keeps going back to the continuity word, and you can see that amongst the team, every interview, everything they're talking about. So I'm glad to see it carry over. Jerry, I'm going to throw this one in before Bill leaves, but we have a deadline today, guys, right? That is today, right? Bill, I need you to give us your insight. What are we doing with IQ? Is he getting, extended? Where are you at with the whole IQ situation?
It's a fascinating thing, because if you're Quickly and you're offered $20 million a year times 4, how do you potentially not take that? I think that would be the ballpark of what might be. The only thing I would think about is maybe he would not want to commit to a scenario where he might not be a starter.
Right.
But look, the guy had a phenomenal year last year. He's a runner-up as a 6th man of the year. Obviously got hurt in the playoffs. I hope they get it done. From the Knicks perspective, one thing people need to realize, if they don't get this deal done, they still have the ability to match next summer any other offer Quick might get, because he's a restricted free agent. So maybe the Knicks want to see potentially what the market will say next summer if they're unable to get the deal done today. These things always go down to the deadline. I think RJ last year went right down to the deadline. It's 5 p.m. Eastern time that they have to get the extension done. And remember, Quickly's on the last year of his rookie deal, so this would kick in for next season if they get it done.
Yeah, not many times there's a deadline and both sides are, you know what, let's get this done before the deadline.
I know, right?
In any line of sport or business.
5 p.m. Eastern time. 5 p.m. Eastern time.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Phil.
Yeah.
What happened?
No, I was saying, go ahead, Phil. What's your thoughts
Yeah.
on the IQ situation?
I personally would love to see IQ get re-signed, because it's one of those, we always hear that we don't keep our drafted players. And then we saw an extension happen for Mitch. We saw an extension happen for RJ. Like, that's something that changes that storyline. That changes that, persona that the Knicks, don't buy into, their players that actually put in the work. And I feel like IQ has put in the work. I feel like he has grown from season to season to season. And he does have that work ethic that we say that we want so much in New York. But I personally feel like, with his comments of wanting to start and with his comments of wanting a bigger role, I personally feel like, and I could be wrong, I feel like the signing of Dante DiVincenzo kind of gave the Knicks a little bit of an insurance policy, that if the asking price is more than they want, they're okay letting him go into restricted free agency, because they've brought on a player that can fill that role if they need to. And it allows them to then, if he needs to go to restricted free agency, like you said, we still have those rights. So we can always match them if we want to, or if a trade is on the table and someone will only do the trade if we have IQ, they can then match that deal as well in restricted free agency to then move him to somewhere that he does get that start, and then we get something valuable in return. So I feel like Dante DiVincenzo was kind of a bit of insurance as well as a good fit for the team. But since he does a lot of the same things that IQ does, it doesn't put the pressure on our front office to have to make that decision or feel like they have their arm behind their back and have to make that choice.
Gives options.
Personally, I don't know how you guys, I just love Quickly. I love his spirit. I love the way he bounces around. I love his energy. I love his vibe. I would really hope, if he wants this to happen and the Knicks want it to happen, I hope it gets done.
Yeah, IQ, you could tell he came from a great home. Shout out to his parents, the figures that he had in his life to help raise him. Before I throw it over to Jerry and Sells, I just want to shout out somebody in our chat. Our guy Dev Finch, who's one of the community members. He had a passing. Sorry for your passing, Dev. His father passed away over the weekend. Dev, my thoughts and prayers are with you and your family. Rest in peace to your pops, my guy. I just wanted to bring that up real quick because I saw him in the chat. Go ahead, Sells.
Yeah, I mean, on the IQ thing, right? I feel like it's such a catch-22, right? And you know me, I just look at the situation at hand. It's like, at the one hand, I love IQ. I'd love to see us resign it. We talked about it the other night. But at the same time, I'm like, well, you are in a position where let him go out there, do his thing. What if he doesn't have a great season, right? Are you?
Well,
not
what if he gets hurt? What if he gets hurt?
Exactly.
That's another one.
Yeah, I want this deal done for several reasons. First and foremost, we saw how well he performed when he was a starter, when Brunson missed some games, which, I mean, I know that you don't want necessarily Quickly starting because we have Brunson, but yeah, he filled in so well in the starting role, was not afraid, went right in there, took the keys, ran the team well. And then lastly, if you do extend him now, that removes him from any trade deadline stuff, because the Knicks will not be able to trade him until the summertime. And I'm not saying I want to trade him, but if you show him that fate, like even if the Embiid stuff kicks in February, which I don't even want all those rumors and all that. I just don't want it now. I want to have a season with this team. I just think if you extend him now, it just removes all of that. His name's not thrown around in trade rumors in February. And I don't know. I just think that he was a great pick, and he just feels like a Knick to me. So I want it done today. I really do. But maybe that's just because I like homegrown teams. Free agency in the NBA, you have to be a player, but I love developing homegrown talent, guys you draft that are within the organization for a while. Sorry, I don't want to play around with quickly. I want it done too, Bill. I want it done too.
Yeah, just like Jerry said, just to get all that extra noise that's going to be circulating around Emmanuel quickly and the contract negotiations. You don't want to hear none of that. And like Jerry said, in February, we all know it's Knicks for clicks. So you don't want all those articles coming out with the different trade scenarios and anything like that. So yeah, I'm 100% on board with that.
Shout out to Lawrence Tears, Freezy in the chat with a 499 super chat. Appreciate you, bro. Salute and good morning, my friends. So Bill, I mean, when it comes to the IQ thing, not to spend too much more time on it, but is the ball kind of in his court? Like, you figure our team's definitely going to give him an offer. Now it's just a matter of, do you want to be a starter or do you want to stay here and be a piece that hopefully works in a team that is a true contender?
I don't know. I don't know about you guys. If I were offered $80 million guaranteed, I mean, can you imagine? And potentially maybe not take that. I tell you what, I wish I had the option to decide. I'll tell you.
I'm right there with you, Bill.
Yeah. I mean, if the super chat came in for $4.99 and said I had to dance to take my shirt off, I'm in, guys. All right, I'm just telling you. So 80 million is a big number.
I hope it gets, like, I'm with you guys. We all love quick. I hope it gets done. I hope it gets done.
Mm-hmm. Not 100%. Go ahead, Celso, if you want to switch.
Well, I was going to move into the next conversation for you, Bill. Let's start off with, who is your guy? Who's the X factor this season that you're banking on, that we need to have a really big season?
I think that RJ showed in the playoffs that he could be more efficient. You know what you're going to get from Randall. Two things I would say, and Randall's talked about it. He wants to be more efficient. He doesn't want to maybe get stuck at times taking these long range twos. Take the three, be efficient with the three, get to the basket. RJ needs to shoot a better percentage and be more efficient. A lot of times RJ takes too many shots to get his points. So if RJ can be more efficient and Randall can do what he's doing, and you got, Brunson's going to be there. I mean, you really, and we've seen it a little bit last year. You may have a big three. I think those are the three guys, and I think RJ is a guy that's got to try to become a little more efficient. And in the playoffs, we saw what he can do. When he's aggressive going to the basket, he's a different player. When he goes hard to the basket and finishes, he's a different player.
Yeah, and he looked good in Canada, right? During the what was it, the summer thing going on? FIBA, yeah. And he's hitting his free throws. That's another thing, right? In preseason, right. I mean, he's knocking them down. And I know that was a big emphasis for a lot of us last season. Was like, can you imagine if he actually hit all of his three-pointers, what it would look, or free throws, what it would look like?
Yeah.
Is anybody else?
I love RJ's. RJ is, and Coach said this the other day, whether it's going well or not, he does not change his demeanor, does not change how he is coming across. He is maturing that way beyond his years. You never know when you're looking at him if he's on it or if he's struggling. And I think that's a real strength that he has. He has the mental strength of a much older person.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. No, 100%. It seems like he's been here forever. Go ahead, Phil.
Yeah, and so RJ's not my choice, but that's one thing that, like, even though preseason is preseason, I don't toss it away completely, because I saw two things in RJ that I'm hoping transfer over. And we know that he can drive to the basket. We always say that his strength is, one of his greatest contributions to our team. But a lot of times his strength would get him to the foul line, but it wouldn't get the ball into the basket, or it wouldn't get the free throws made. He did both of those in preseason. So that's something that he apparently was working on, like, in the offseason. So to see it happen in preseason gives me a little glimmer of hope that he can actually get hit and execute the shot. And if not, that's not going to be wasted shots at the free throw line, because there were some games that he went 9 for 9 in preseason from the foul line. So even a glimmer of that in the actual season could be a game changer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, last year I think 74% from the free throw line. Why not get it up to 80, low 80s? That would make a big difference for sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Jerry, what's your thoughts on RJ Barrett?
Well, I just, with RJ too, it's like, he affecting the game when his shot's not there, which is something I think he did well in the second half of the season. And the last few years, he seems to be. That's why I hope to Phil's point that the preseason tells us a little something, because he historically has gotten off the slower starts, particularly shooting behind the 3-point line, the free throws, but then he does seem to pull it all together, usually in the top of the new year, and it starts to turn around. I would just like to see a faster start. I think if he starts a little faster and in rhythm, second half of the year, if you go look at the numbers for even the last 2 years, he's been great in the second half of the season. So I think it'll all average out if he just maybe has a rhythm going early. But yeah, I think he's on a great track. And I think last year he really started affecting the game when the shot wasn't there. He didn't give up defensively. He stayed hungry on defense. He was creating, and he even got some time with the second unit when Brunson missed those games, which I thought was illuminating because he had the ball in his hands a little more. So yeah, I'm with you. Again, the homegrown guys, I think RJ quickly. And for my guy was really Mitch. I would love a really healthy Mitchell Robinson season and maybe some better free throw shooting, which I know he's putting in the time. It's not a question. Is he working on it? Yeah, Savage, that's a great point. We saw it with the Cavs series, how dominant Mitchell Robinson could be. And he's not going to match up with every team like that. But there are teams in the East. We will need Mitchell Robinson.
No,
Guys, one point, I don't know where you guys were on Randall and the concern about his ankle, but there should be no concern. He looks like he is in phenomenal shape as always, and he has no ill effects. The way, you've seen players in the past have some issues, and you never know after surgery, but there is no doubt when you watch Randall in the preseason that he is 100%.
And he was not in that heat. See, a lot of Knick fans were giving him a little bit of, hell for the play. He was playing through it awful. I mean, he had to have surgery. He had to have surgery on the injury.
Yeah. And also, it made me feel bad because I was one of those Knick fans that were giving him all that slack, Jerry.
He was really hurt.
And I think a lot of those Knick fans that were giving him that slack, if they knew that he was injured at the time, because it wasn't until after the series was over, we found out that he was having surgery. And then a lot of us had to walk back and take back our statements.
The thing he also mentioned was the surgery made him, normally he's such a workaholic that he gets right to his training right after the season, but the surgery caused him to have to shut it down, heal, reflect, think. So maybe in many ways, having to shut it down after the surgery will be a blessing for him going forward here.
Yeah, 100%. And when it comes, I just want to get my take when it comes to RJ real quick, and I'll throw to you. So last year going into the season, and I said this on Knicks Recap, shout out our guy Troy, Bill was on with him over the weekend. I said it last year, going to last year, it felt like Jalen, Julius, and RJ were trying to establish who's number 1, number 2, and number 3 when it comes to them operating on the court. Coming into this season, they already know it's Jalen, it's Julius, and it's RJ Barrett. Everything is already set in stone. When it comes to that, the coaching staff is still building off of what Tibbs have been doing for the last 3 years. So I think this team is more prepared going into this season than in previous years.
I'm with you. And Grimes, if he can take a step forward, make some more shots, stay healthy. We know how good he is on defense. One other thing I think we should bring up here is with no Obi, you got Josh Hart likely as a backup 4. That could be very interesting in terms of size on the second unit and how that's going to play out. But Hart is so versatile and so good on the boards that even though he might be undersized at the 4, I don't think it's going to make a difference.
That was literally the question I was going to bring up. No, it was great. I was like, before we let Bill go, what are we doing about the backup power forward situation?
Yeah, I'm not going to give Bill my freezing cold Fournier take from last week. I'll save you of that, Bill, and I know you got to get going, and obviously this is a busy time for you, so I'll spare you the Fournier take I had, which was a positive take. I want to see some minutes because I just think shooting with this team will be so important. I know you missed some things. I'm giving you the take. Look, I said I wasn't going to give you the take. I'm giving you the take.
But here's what's really important, I think. Last year, when Tibbs went to a 9-man rotation, it's early December, they were struggling. They had the terrible game against Dallas. He changes the rotation, and they go 37-22 the rest of the way. No Derrick Rose, Evan Fournier out as well. The question is for you guys, if you give Fournier minutes, who are you not going to give minutes to, barring an injury now? Because the coach is only playing 9 guys. So if you're going to play Fournier, someone's not going to play. Who's it going to be? He's not playing 10. He's not playing 10.
If you're not playing 10, it's not there. If you're not playing 10, it's not there.
He doesn't play. He doesn't like playing 10.
I love when Bill says that because you can literally use that line for the rest of any of Nick's Twitter, right? Any conversation we're trading for, that's my new answer. Okay, who's not playing? That's it. That shuts the conversation up when you know.
If we could just
and by the way, guys, McBride shot really well in the preseason. Yeah. I don't know if that carries over when he plays in the G League. He shoots the ball really well. But right now, barring some kind of injury, I would say he's out of the top 9 too. So, and Sims. Sims, McBride, Fournier are all 3 guys that right now are not going to be in the top 9.
Yeah.
Well, Bill, thank you so much for kicking off Knicks Morning Brew Season 2 with us this morning. You know, we'll get you back again, and we'll keep trying to just constantly bother you all season long to see how bad our takes are.
whenever you guys, I love being on with you guys. Just let me know. It's always great fun. I'm really, really hopeful. I'm really optimistic, and I really can't wait to get this thing rolling on Wednesday.
So excited. All right, chat. Everybody drop your little high fives and salutes in the chat. Oh, Phil said time out.
Don't you have a special question to ask Bill for our collection?
What?
About what one thing that he would choose?
I guess somebody wasn't at the
For a
production
book?
meeting this morning.
Do we have issues with production meeting attendance here or what?
Come on.
Yeah, I know, right, Bill?
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, you know what? We'll save it for the next one. We'll save it for the next one.
All right, good.
All right.
Bill, thank you so much.
Boys, great
Appreciate
to see you. My
Bill.
pleasure, and I look forward to coming on again. It's always great fun.
Appreciate you, Bill.
Definitely.
Bye, guys. See you later.
Later.
Ladies and gentlemen, Bill Pidto. Fellas.
Just a legend right there.
Definitely.
There's just a few people you think of with like Knicks games, Ranger games. Like, you know, we go back to like Al Troutwig and now it's like Han and Wally and Bill, and it just gets you ready for the season. Good guest, good get. That really gets me. That gets me fired up for the season. I mean, I was already fired up, and I gave him my 48. Why'd you guys let me do that?
I know. I had to, bro. I was like, don't stop him. Because
Why did you let me do that?
You had that
look
look.
like an idiot in front of Bill Pidto.
You had that look with the I'm gonna hold back, but then it just kept coming. We're like, let him cook, guys.
No. What's funny was that Jerry was like, yeah, you know, I'll save you from my Evan Fournier take or whatever, but this is my Evan Fournier take, just so you know.
I've never watched self-control get lost like right before my eyes as that. Like you had such like rapport about yourself, like I'm just not gonna do it.
You guys didn't even try to stop. Everyone took a step back from their mic like this.
We did. We're like, all right, here he goes.
Let's watch this happen.
Oh, man.
Yo, shout out to DSJ with $2 super chat. Jerry and Hector have the same beard shape up.
As a fact, we went to the same barber. I flew into Ohio. I got shaped up and I came right back.
No, this is such a New York get ready for basketball season look right here. But this has been my look since 2002. So I mean, I'm an old man. I got the gray coming in.
Nah, you well seasoned, Jerry. You know,
guys. Before we get into some more talks where we're all hanging out, appreciate everybody in the chat. Hector, bro, we didn't do a roll call, so it looks like we gotta go back from the beginning.
But before we go back to the beginning, shout out to Blood of the Panther in the chat. The top moderator of all the moderators is in the building. My guy Savage NYC. Salute. 3 capital S's. D Block 1755. My guy, how you doing? Salute to my guy NFE in the building. Forever Knicks. Salute to you. Shy Powers 1/2. Knicks Divine is in the building. Salute. Of course, Ron and John from Still Knicks Fans Family. How you doing? Make sure you guys go and support all the different Knicks content creators that are out. Of course, Uncle Freezy, Ron and John from Still Knicks Fans, our guy Uncle Sims from Nothing But Knicks Podcast, Uncle Fulio. There's a lot of great content creators in this space. Of course, we got to talk about Knick Fan TV because they laid the foundation. Of course, our guys at the Knick of Time show when it comes to Jay Ellis. It's a lot of great content creators that are out there. Anyone else that I'm forgetting? Because my Rolodex is going blank.
Queen Steph.
Yes.
Guard Up Knicks.
Podfather,
Knicks Fans
Queen
Wildin'.
Steph, Ebony, everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody. Well, you know what? I'm glad you know what? I'm glad we just brought this up. So everybody in the chat, so you know, the way our schedule is going to line up on Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays, every Friday, we will be doing content creator highlight spotlights. So every Friday, we will have a different content creator on to hang out And that also will lead into our open panel. So if you are a content creator or you have a favorite content creator out there, make sure to hit us up on Twitter, X, whatever it's called. Let us know who you'd like to see on Fridays. We've got stellar lineups coming up. So, Jerry, should we share schedule first or save that and maybe we talk some more Knicks first?
Let's
or should
talk
we
more
just
Knicks and do this,
let's
and
talk
we'll
Knicks.
leave them.
Let's
Let's
talk
like
Knicks.
keep them to the end, you know?
Yeah, let's save it. Let's not drop the
I'm
trade
still
list.
reeling. I am still so pissed off that you guys let me do that. With Bill Pidto. If you guys, for those of you just tuning in, if you're just jumping on, the great Bill Pidto was on. We're talking Knicks, and I had a dumb Evan Fournier take last week that I knew was dumb, and I swore I wasn't going to do it. And these dudes teed me up for it and stepped away from their microphones. Like
so
this.
thank you everybody for watching the first episode and only episode with Jerry Ferrara.
I quit.
If you guys can't, we got 35 of y'all in the building. Smack that like button for your boys as we continue the conversation.
Caches with the super chat. Shout out
Thank
to
you,
you
Cash.
guys.
Appreciate you, bro.
you, my guy.
Jeremy, we
Alright,
have to
Jerry.
find a safe word. You feel me? So whenever one of us are going on
Was
the
Kevin
train,
Hart's
we
pineapple.
just go, yeah,
Pineapple.
pineapples. That it is. Anytime you hear pineapple, you know you're going down the wrong take. That's
No,
what
but before we move on, like he's absolutely right.
Yeah.
Even if Fournier, for whatever reason, was like, hey, you know what? Maybe the guy could come in and shoot 2 for 5, which was my point. Shoot 2 for 5 for 3. But yeah, Tibbs is not playing like Deuce McBride's not going to get minute. If Deuce McBride figures out to consistently shoot, if he gets it up, even the threes, if he gets the threes up to 34, 35%, that is a studly bench player coming off with that defense who could knock down shots. And if he's not going to get minutes, I don't know. Maybe there is a trade to make. Maybe we should upgrade because like guys like Sims and McBride should get some minutes, but it just might not be there on this team.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I saw a lot of reports where people were like, "Oh, Jericho Sims would be the backup power forward." I didn't see that working.
I don't know how that works. You
Yeah,
guys,
I
you guys
don't
can
know.
explain to me. I've been watching
I
basketball
can't.
all the time. Explain to me how
can't.
that works.
I don't know. You know, I wanted to bring this up, but I want to throw it over to Phil. Rudy Gay was just waived. Are you guys interested to bringing in Rudy Gay? He could be a small forward, backup power forward. He could hit the three respectfully. He's not a sharpshooter, but it's still somebody that you still have to get a hand in his face. On a vet minimum, it's not going to cost you much on a vet minimum.
It's not so much the Rudy Gay situation.
I know he's not Obi Toppin, Phil. All right, I get it.
Don't get me started on that. Like we'll need a whole new show, like a whole extra like 2 hours of venting. But what I wanted to say was that once again, I don't see how Tibbs really adds in another person, unless it's someone that exactly fits, what he's looking for. And I don't know if Rudy Gay would be that person. I know that other people are talking. Who was it? Was it who's competing for the backup spot, power forward spot against James Wiseman in Detroit?
In Detroit, they have 97 centers.
I was about to say they got like 20 different first-round draft picks that never amounted to anything, bro. I don't know what's on that
there's
roster.
Rumors about like one of their guys that's trying to compete for a power forward spot that's probably not going to get it. I just don't know. Like I personally, if they're only going to get like 5 to 10 minutes, bring someone that we already have, see what a Jacob Toppin can be. If Jacob Toppin's this great defender that Tibbs talks about, maybe he gets, 5 minutes,
Don't you feel like you're living in a sim? Right?
I do.
Like, don't you feel like you live in a sim? Like we trade Obi Toppin and we're going to be running Jacob Toppin out there, who Tibbs loves. And Tibbs never loved Obi. I feel like the sim is broke and Keanu Reeves is going to come out and we're all just going to be in the Matrix because that messes me up.
It does.
Tibbs is so petty. He's going to give Jacob Toppin 16 minutes because Obi only averaged 15.
One
That's
more
so
than
petty,
you,
Tibbs.
Obi.
Just
One
a
more
little
than
bit
you.
right there. Shout out to Al Diddy. Every time I see his name, I just feel like I got to brush it off like Al Diddy.
I just wish for the sake of money, they would have gave Jacob the number 1 so that if I needed to buy a jersey, I would already have it. And I wouldn't have to spend money. Like
would have been nice.
That would have been nice to us. But redeem yourself, Jerry. We were talking about X Factor. I'm hoping Evan Fournier is not your X Factor.
I said Mitchell Robinson.
So why Mitchell Robinson? Redeem yourself here.
I said Mitchell Robinson as my X Factor, and I still do believe that because to me, the X factor is something that you didn't necessarily have that now emerges. And it's not that we didn't have Mitchell Robinson. It's just always a health issue and a free throw issue. So for me, as long as RJ and Brunson and Randall do what they do, I think DiVincenzo is going to be a seamless fit. I think if we get a really healthy Robinson season, if we can just tick up those free throws a little bit where you could keep them on the court late game, to me, that's a huge X factor because we saw it with our own eyes last year in the playoffs in the first round. But yeah, man, am I redeemed now, Phil? Am I redemption?
Yeah, you're doing well.
You're good.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Real quick, shout out Blood of Panther. We talked about it a little bit with Bill, right? Does IQ get signed today? You know, I love Bill's answer. How do you turn down 80 mil, right? Bill's was like, hello, 80
well, we
mil.
didn't talk about the flip side of that. Bill referenced it a little bit because there is the world where you say, and this was done sort of in football a little bit with franchise tags and stuff like that. You know what? Go see what the open market says and we'll talk after that. So there is a world if the Knicks don't, it doesn't mean they don't want quickly. It just means we still have the power. We still have you for a whole year. We could, but like I said, that'll bring up all trade rumors. We're going to hear it. Like you said, Knicks for clicks. Quickly's name has to be in any trade with a big time player because of the contract situation and how it lines up. And that's who teams would want, and it was rumored that, the Spurs are going to make an offer in the offseason. The Jazz are going to make an offer. There were several teams who already sort of put out there if he's on the market, even restricted. So I think you just got to get it done. Because if you don't, you're probably going to pay even more. And there's going to be all sorts of trade rumors come February. Even though trading him, it's going to be tough. It's going to be all sorts. I just take it off the table. We didn't really explore the flip side. They don't sign him.
Yeah, I'm with you, Jerry, because I want them to get it done ASAP so we don't gamble. Because what if he does have a good year and we go into free agency and there's a team like San Antonio that wants to overpay for Quickly and want to offer him 30 to 35 million a season, right? Granted, that's an overpay, but it's still a possibility. It still could happen. And at the same time, I could see the front office not being inclined to give him that contract extension, because if you give him that contract extension, then it puts him on a weird no trade scenario. You can't trade him to a certain amount of days. So I'm not sure how that will figure in right before the trade deadline. So do you want to give him the contract extension and not trade him, or do you want to save him until the trade deadline and try to see if there's a package out there too?
If you sign him, he can't be traded till June. I'd love to know though what Savage NYC is saying. It's a smart business move, not signing Quickly. I'd love to hear why.
For the reason that I just brought up, because you have the trade deadline and you don't. IQ is a chip. He's still a trade chip. You don't want to.
There's no way Embiid's getting. You think there's a chance Embiid gets moved this season? In season?
I don't think Embiid's going to get traded. One, because if Embiid gets traded, Philly is waving the white flag, and that process didn't work out, and they got egg on their face. 10 years of putting out garbage product to your fan base, you can't sell your fan base on that. But what could happen, Donovan Mitchell with Cleveland.
Nah. They don't want to let him go for nothing. That's my opinion.
That's
right. They don't want to let Donovan go for nothing.
And his value is not going to be what they had to give up to get Donovan Mitchell. And you're not dealing with Danny Ainge, who hates the Knicks.
You can't give up on Mitchell, though, if you're Cleveland. You made this big investment. I know they're not going to want to let him walk for nothing, but you have to know, if you're Cleveland front office, it's going to be really hard to get Mitchell to re-sign here. But are you going to start kicking the can a year and a half in? Are you not even going to let him get a second playoff shot?
Yeah, but
after finishing as the 5 seed and they ran into the Knicks, which is an awful matchup for them. I think that stuff with Mitchell doesn't kick in until next season, but I don't know. It would be a shrewd move for the Cavs to know this is the chance to get the most value.
The longer that they wait, the less they're going to get back for Donovan Mitchell, because he's going to be closer to free agency.
Oh, but I don't know, man. Don't you think that they knew that? Like they got to run 2 playoffs, 2 playoffs. I'm a firm believer still that the Cavs would have actually been a much harder matchup for the Heat than the Knicks were. I think the Knicks match up great with the Cavs. It's a problem for the Cavs. And I think the Cavs would have been a different problem for the Heat that the Knicks didn't offer necessarily. So
Just so everybody know, Jerry has to speak nice about Ohio because his taxes would get raised if he doesn't speak nicely about this city.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask Bill. I'm still trying to figure out a way. You know, I'm in Cleveland right now, and I talked to Phil and I talked to Celso about this. I think I talked to you about it, Hector. You know, I come back to New York for tons of Knicks games, but I love every time the Knicks come to Cleveland, I go, and the Gilbert family has been very cool to me, and I don't go rocking crazy Knicks stuff. Tell me what you guys think. Now, if you are like a guest of the organization, like if the Cavs are saying, hey, Hector, Phil, Jigga, you want to come Knicks Cavs? We'll invite you. We'll give you nice seats. Are you going to go there like crazy nicked out and just be screaming? Or are you going to feel like you're a guest in someone else's house and maybe just a hat and just, you know, you cheer like a fan, but not rub it in their face? I go in like neutral colors. I sit off to the side. I just want to watch the game. You know, I don't do no crazy Instagram stuff. But they play the Cavs Halloween, and that is absolutely a game I would have went to in Cleveland if I didn't have kids. I can't miss trick or treat, right?
Right, yeah, you got.
I miss trick or treat. That's my ass, right?
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah, go ahead, Phil. I'll save my take for last on that one.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm wearing full-on decked out Knicks head to toe. Like, here's a fun story you'll like. So I had a situation like that in Orlando. A bride that I was photographing her wedding used to work for the NBA. She used to get me like limited edition Knicks stuff at like the draft nights, and she would send it to me. And then she ended up moving to work for the Orlando franchise. And so the Knicks game was coming, and she was like, hey, do you want to be the one that hands off the game ball? Like, I can get you there early. You can hand the game ball to RJ Barrett and Aaron Gordon. And I was like, yeah. She was like, all right. But on the court, you cannot wear your decked out Knicks gear. I said,
it's respect. Right, sign of respect.
Totally respect it. So didn't wear my Knicks gear, but I had a backpack at my seat in the front row. And as soon as it was done, I switched into my hat, my Starks jersey, everything like that. Got my picture with RJ, and that was that. And then I represented on the front. So she was like, hey, you can do whatever you want in the seats, just on the court. You can't like misrepresent the Orlando Magic. So I would take it the same way. If I had any interactions with the actual organization, then I would be a little more, you know, tame. But if they're just like, hey, be chill at your seat, I'm not going to taunt people. Like, I'm not trying to fight a bunch of Cleveland people over a basketball game, but I'm definitely going to have some fun.
Go ahead, Heck.
You know, the city of Cleveland hates me for the amount of trashing that I was doing during the playoffs. Pointed out the fact that
with the city or the team?
The city of Cleveland, because I was like, the number one tourist attraction in Cleveland they got is the Pet Cemetery from the movie. Like, let's be honest,
not
bro.
True.
Like,
you're gonna start some. That's not true at all. But okay, I'll take it. You're on
it's
that.
in the top
you're on
5
that Noah
tourist
tip where
attractions.
Noah said
right?
like was there doing Cleveland. Noah talked.
No, you guys got a solid block and a half of Little Italy. It's a solid small little block when it comes to Little Italy out there.
There's other things.
Yes, like I live here, damn it. All right.
Well, clearly, look, you know who Noah would have been better off going to Cleveland because he finally got to the big city and got to the Knicks and did absolutely nothing. So he ran his mouth about the Cavs. What's there to do in Cleveland? Clearly, play basketball, which you went to New York to do. Anyway, why am I bringing up old stuff? I'm like a petty ex. I'm just bringing up old stuff.
Speaking of X, Hector, what's your X factor?
I appreciate the
segue.
But I'm a piggyback of what Jerry was saying about Mitchell Robinson, right? When we was on Troy's show on Knicks Recap, I brought up the fact that Mitchell Robinson this season, I want to see him healthy for the entirety of the season. And also, I want to see him take that next step up. We understand Mitchell Robinson, when it comes to the average centers in the league, he can handle them. I need him to take his game up. So when he's going against Bam Adebayo, when he's going against Embiid, when he's going against Joker, that's what I need to see Mitchell Robinson step his game up. Because against Alexi Lynn or these random centers that they have in the league, you could dominate them. But I need to see you do that on a day in and day out effort against the big time centers in the league.
Yeah, I would love a 10-10 season from him.
Oh, yeah.
It's hard because Randall gobbles up so many rebounds, which is a lot because of Mitch boxing out, right? A lot of free boards for Randall, which is great. I just would love to, if he if he hits his free throws and stays healthy, I think he could get to 10 and 10 with how 2 blocks or whatever he normally does, which I think that's a great, with the offense so ISO heavy that the Knicks run. I think that's a perfect
Look, I
piece.
told you guys the other day, him having that dunk in preseason and then actually landing smoothly gives me all the hope I need in Mitch for this season. Okay. Like those legs are looking sturdy, like they can handle his weight for the first time. I mean, I'm expecting big things. I'm going to throw mine out. Phil, you ready?
Hold up. Well, one thing on Mitchell Robinson. If we see the defense that we saw that he played against Towns in that preseason game, like it wasn't just defense in the paint. It was the hustle back into the paint, because I had to put that in the intro where Towns thought he had the open like dunk going in, and Mitchell Robinson came flying out of nowhere and put it up against the backboard. Like that was absolutely beautiful. So if we see that kind of hustle out of Mitchell, I think that also will be helping in making him an X factor. But go to yours, Jigga, and then I'll
actually
go to mine after
go to yours so I can pull mine up after. Who are you going with?
So for mine, I'm going with Grimes. And the reason I'm going with Grimes is because if you look at a lot of like teams' big threes, we know what we're getting from their big threes, and they know what they're getting from our big threes. And some of them we have the edge, but some of them we don't. Like against Boston, we definitely don't have the edge on a big three. Like I'm not going to like bank on our big three as much as like I like our guys. Like there's just something about, going up against Tatum, Brown, Porzingis, and then having Drew Holiday to like kick in as well. So for me, the teams know what to expect from Brunson, RJ, and Randall for the most part. They haven't seen everything that Grimes can do. Like if you look at old tape of Grimes used to shoot the three, but he was more so an off the dribble, like either take it to the basket or facilitate to another guy, which we saw a little bit of that in the preseason. So if Tibbs was to be able to like give him the keys for that a little more, and he wasn't just the sit on the 3-point line, like only have to guard him if he's open kind of guy, like I think that would cause a rift in what a lot of people think of our starting lineup. I think it would actually cause some confusion on what IQ is going to do, and he's going to be that hidden factor that a lot of people don't know how to fully guard him and guard our other three guys. So I think that if we see a big season from Grimes, that can truly set us apart for this season compared to last. I don't want to see him just chilling at the 3-point line when his bag is so much more. So his bag to me is our X factor this season.
Hope all that stuff with JJ Redick worked. I saw him I love the off-season workout posts, but I just hope, I don't know. JJ Redick, amazing player. Maybe they're doing all the 3-point footwork stuff, but I'm with Phil. I do think Grimes had a little more handle and creativity than Redick, who became a great 3-point shooter, especially in transition pull-up threes, which we would love to have, but I would love to see Grimes create a little, because he showed flashes of that. So I'm with you, Phil.
Grimes came up as a point guard in high school. If you go back to the ESPN draft boards from when he was in school, he was a point guard when he was in high school, not a shooting guard. It wasn't until he got to college that they moved him over.
Yeah. It is tough though, right? Because Tibbs, and we talked about offense and what the Knicks run, and it's a lot of ISO stuff. I think Grimes would be the 5th ISO choice. Like here's the ball. There's 10 seconds left on the clock. Go create. Like maybe I just hope they could run stuff for him.
But what Grimes does well, better than anyone else on the team, Grimes, he doesn't have to have the ball in his hands to be open for a shot.
True.
Right. So that's the great thing about Grimes. When he doesn't have the ball, he is constantly moving, trying to get open. So we need more of that on the team.
I had this theory that I was talking to a few people about, and I'll get your guys' opinion. But like when it comes to the offense, if we switched it up a little bit, because if you look, Jalen Brunson is really good off ball catch and shoot as well. He is a better 3-point shooter when he catches and shoots.
True.
So if they shared that responsibility a little bit and had some plays where Grimes actually facilitated and it gave him the option of dishing out or driving, I think that it would switch things up and we'd be a little less predictable. Obviously, on the defensive end, you want to go back to where Grimes is always guarding the shooting guard. But I think that like when it comes to the fact that Jalen Brunson is best when it comes to scoring, like giving the opportunity to put the ball in someone else's hand at the beginning of the shot clock, and then, okay, ISO is going to be the best way. Now let's give it to Jalen with 15 seconds on the clock to cook, as opposed to the other way, giving it to Jalen all the time with 24 seconds. And then if nothing's there with 3 seconds left, he'll find somebody else. You know, I think it just switches it up if we allow them to bounce off of each other and switch that role of facilitating a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, you're seeing all the reports coming out about how the team is emphasizing that they want to pass more this season and really move the ball around, right? There's also the side of it that most people aren't talking about is we also got to expect that there's going to be some hiccups with that, right? We have a squad that is not a passing squad. So I expect to have a little bit of hiccups, but I think we talked about the other day when it comes to Grimes, you know, I really believe he needs to build his confidence up. Still, like he still needs to be sure that he's going to take that shot when it's thrown to him, not that second guessing. When he takes that ball and he runs the baseline, I love when he does that, when he just goes directly for it, right? But when he hesitates when he's around the perimeter, that still concerns me. He's going to have to show me a lot of that for me to be all in on Grimes.
Yeah, in that preseason game, he was 7 for 12 because he wasn't playing with all those guys. Like he was the guy that they kind of expected to shoot, you know, so he had a little bit more time. I'm not saying that that's always going to be what he does, you know, is shoot 7 for 12, but I think confidence comes also with like, okay, I have time to actually get a shot off instead of I have 3 seconds and I have to hope that I make it. You know, some of those shots in the playoffs, no excuse whatsoever. Like he was open for business, like 7-11, no one was there, you know, late at night.
How about DSJ? Hector, the best thing that Grimes does is raise your expectations on his production. And then Savage comes in. Savage, Grimes can't develop with 4 shots a night.
By the way, shout out to DSJ, just basically moving Dennis Smith Jr. off his acronym. I'm DSJ, not you.
Yeah, that's
DSJ.
Delano is the only DSJ we acknowledge. The only DSJ we acknowledge is my guy Delano.
The best troll of all trolls is DSJ.
That's a fact. No, but to your point about what Savage said, I wanted to bring that up because that's true. Tibbs has to tell Grimes, you have the green light. If you're open, take that shot. And like, because he said he's not going to be able to develop or get confident in his shot if he's only taking 2 to 4 shots a night. We don't need that. We need Grimes to at least, at minimum, 8 shots a night, at bare minimum.
Bad so take you want to give him Fournier's shots?
No, bad take. No, you ready for this though? Because it sounds to me what everyone is saying is, and this is a serious thing I'm saying, but this might be bad. But let's just say it's more of the same from Grimes that we saw last year. No real jump, which by the way wasn't bad. It wasn't. You know, if you're the 5th guy in the starting 5, and we only need you to score 7-8 points a game and try to shoot 35% and play great D. That's the role. But I think what we're saying is opportunity, right? We'd like to see some opportunity. So having said that, is there a world then where maybe we should be starting Josh Hart or Dante DiVincenzo in that spot and putting Grimes with the second unit to get more of those opportunities if we think he can do it? It's hard to really say you're going to get a shot with Randall and Brunson and RJ. Those are 3 dominant guys with the ball. Like they need the ball. They're great at ISO scoring, or at least 2 of the 3. You know, would we be better off seeing Grimes with the second unit and you put Hart or you put Dante DiVincenzo in that role that Grimes is in, and maybe you get more of those opportunities? I put bad take as my name. So
no, but I love that you said that, Jerry. No, seriously. I love that you said that because last night when I was working on the graphics and I started putting the question being, is this team better than it was last year? Can they be better? Here's the dilemma I ran into in the graphic. I had Mitch, I had Julius, I had RJ, and I had Brunson. And I kept finding myself, who am I going to actually put in that right there? And I kept bouncing between Grimes, Hart, and DiVincenzo. So I think the question's valid because, again, we have Grimes in there. He doesn't get his chances to shoot. He doesn't perform. Then I'd rather see Hart come in there and be that guy that tracks down those rebounds, right? See him running up and down. So it can go either way for me.
I agree with you on Grimes not starting. Not because I don't like Grimes, but because I like Grimes. But I wouldn't put Josh Hart in there because we need Josh Hart's defense, and we also need his rebounds in the second unit. If that's funny. That's really great. Whoever that is, that's great. Anyway, if you look,
Whoever that is,
if we have Mitchell Robinson, Josh Hart, and Randall in that starting unit, that's most of our rebounds, like all in the starting lineup. Josh Hart helps so much with rebounds on the second unit. So I think we need him. Me personally, and I've said this before, I think IQ would work best in that starting lineup. It solves two things. It gives him that starting lineup position that he wants to stay. I don't think it's as much about the money as it is about getting that opportunity to start. So you start him, and he is a better catch and shoot with less time on the board than Grimes is, than Dante is. Like, he is good at that. He can grab a ball real quick, hop step with his crazy jump to the corner and shoot. Like, he's got that opportunity. And that also adds defense that, you know, yes, his defense isn't as good when it comes to, you know, on ball as it is Grimes's numbers on ball, but it's not a big enough drop off to make it not work. Like, I feel like it would still work if he was in that starting lineup and then Grimes was able to control that second unit.
I bet you IQ would sign an $80 million deal if he's told he's starting with that four right there.
Facts.
All right, off of that, I ask you guys this question then. And look, it's not always about who. It's funny because it's not always about who starts. It's about who finishes, and quickly does finish a lot of games depending on the circumstances. So,
True.
You know, Celtics rolling into opening night. If that's the situation, and you go with a Brunson quickly backcourt, I know it's the Celtics, so we're going to be the worst matchup for a lot of teams. But and I know Quickly's a really good defender. But with guys his size, you know, do you want Quickly defending out of position? What is Quickly, like 6'1", maybe 6'2"? Who's guarding who if the Celtics are rolling to town? So if you got Holiday, Tatum, Brown, Porzingis, and probably Derek White rolling in, you sticking him on Derek White? I guess you could. He doesn't have a strong back to the basket game. You know, whereas with Grimes, you know, I think a lot of that is because you could put him on Derek White, you could put him on Jaylen Brown. There's just more flexibility there. But what you get on offense from Quickly, so I guess that's the choice. And we have Tibbs as our coach, which is probably why it's not going to happen. Do you want to win with defense, or do you want to try and outscore teams? I feel like Quickly in the starting lineup is a little more of let's try to outscore teams. But he's a really good defender too, and it's tough. It's all tough. He's more of a passing lane, and he could guard up, you know, your point guard. I don't know if he's guarding Jaylen Brown or Derek. I mean, Derek White, maybe you could hide him there.
Yeah. But, when it comes to IQ, you could probably get away with him guarding Jaylen Brown, you know, just because IQ does have a wingspan, like my guy Savage in the chat just pointed out as well. But I think with IQ in that starting lineup, what happens with IQ is that when he's the first option coming off of the bench for Jalen Brunson, a lot of teams target him, right? And he's their number one priority that they look to lock in on defensively. But if he's in the starting lineup with Jalen and with Julius Randle, they're not going to be able to just to key in and just to hone in on IQ and try to shut him down. So I think IQ would get a lot of those behind the baskets, those catching his man sleeping, defending him, and be able to score for us. And it just opens up the offense more so Jalen and Julius Randle can operate. I know Celso brought up the passing and the assist numbers. When you look at the stats, and these are advanced metrics, when it comes to driving into the paint, that's what our offense is based around, Jalen or Julius getting into the paint. The New York Knicks led all of basketball last year with assists coming out of the post. So anytime Jalen or Julius drove and got into the post, then they passed it out, we led the league in assists when it came to that.
And if you think about Quickly has that confidence, sometimes to a fault, where he is fine shooting it, you know, like, and so if we're talking about Grimes doesn't have that confidence to just chuck it up with 3 seconds left, Emmanuel Quickly with 3 seconds left seems like a little more like 6 seconds left on the clock, because Quickly is able to figure something out in that moment. And we've seen him play with the starters while Jalen Brunson was gone, and still be able to, find his shot. So I think that there would be a little more, shots available to him than there would Grimes, and it would allow Grimes to use more of his bag, facilitating and catch and shoot threes against defenders that are not going to be as good as the defenders that are in the starting lineup. So that helps with the scoring off the bench as well.
Yeah, it's almost like, do you know who's in my opinion, an underappreciated Knick, and he wasn't a Knick for very long, and also he deserved more money for what the Knicks and other teams have done to him. Burks, right? When you looked at Burks, a little bigger than Grimes, Burks was running the point for us in that season. We lost to the Hawks in the playoffs. And when D Rose was out of the lineup here or there, and we were running Peyton out there. And but I do feel like that's who I'm sort of watching if I'm Grimes. Not that his ceiling is Alec Burks, but just Burks was able to mix in scoring with playmaking and pretty good defense. Grimes is a way better defender. But there was a role there. And again, that's before Brunson, but there was a lane there. But a lot of it, to Phil's point, was coming because Burks also played the most minutes after Randall, was coming against that second unit. There was I remember that Pelicans game stands out where it was like late in the season, Zion, it was like his first real season ever and the only one ever that he played. And Burks just went off for like 27 with the second unit. And the second unit played more minutes than the first unit, which we have seen last year too. We've seen Tibbs do the first unit is sucking tonight. I'm going to play the dogs in the second unit because they're just going to get after him. So it's going to be really interesting. We got to just get to Wednesday. Tuesday, tomorrow's going to be fun. Wednesday, the season starts for real.
I'm actually going to save my X Factor for this Wednesday's episode. All right.
Because it's going to come up for the Celtic game, or is it Xavier McDaniel?
Yeah, exactly. That's why
I'm old.
So I'm going to save mine for Wednesday. But I figured before we wrap up today, guys, two things I want to touch on before we announce some of our guests that are coming up. Did you guys see? I saw Stephen Bondi put it out last night, but Carmelo Anthony to headline the 2024 New York City Basketball Hall of Fame class. So bravo. Congrats, Melo. Deserve it. And then it starts bringing up those conversations that we have even without announcements like this, right? Do we retire the number? Does Carmelo, so number one, excited for Carmelo. Dope article. If you guys haven't checked it, I put in the description. You can go check it out from Stephen Bondi. It's right here again over on New York Post. Where you at with this, Heck? How you feeling about Melo getting some love?
I grew up as a Melo fan, right? Growing up, my middle name is Anthony, right? So I used to go and get the Carmelo Anthony jerseys just so I could have Anthony on the back of it. Growing up, Melo, Stephon Marbury were my two favorite players in the NBA. Melo, when he came over to the Knicks, I was just so excited. Obviously, we didn't get a championship, made it to the playoffs a few times, but Carmelo Anthony, what he means to the culture at the time when the Knicks were just horrible, like it was embarrassing to be a Knicks fan at that time just because of how bad the team was. The NBA had to get involved in order for the Knicks to turn it around. That's how bad things were when they brought in Donnie Walsh. But Melo, to me, he deserves to get that number retired. I know a lot of fans out there, they don't want to see that happen, but retire my guy, number 7 in the Raptors.
Hold on a second. Your co-host of the Yanks Morning Brew's middle name is Anthony? So we got the Andy and Anthony show? Oh, we've been missing out on marketing this whole time.
We've been co-hosting with each other for months, and we just figured that out right now.
Jerry, where you at, man, with the Melo news?
Look, obviously, I think that's a no-brainer. For me, the Melo situation with the Knicks, like, it's like two stories to me. It's a little unfortunate because they never really were able to put the surrounding pieces with him to truly compete. I mean, that season when they were the 3 seed with the Pacers and all that was probably the best it was, and it's unfortunate because it's because he's just should have been signed. He shouldn't have been traded for. And it's easy to say that now. I was sort of screaming that in the moment. Same. So I think his tenure with the Knicks is, to me, two sides. It's part unfortunate because of that, because we really needed to see him in playoff games. But the thing I will always give Melo credit for, besides just the amazing scorer and besides the on-the-court stuff, he took the challenge, which, You could say no stars want to come to New York because of the organization, and like Durant saying the Knicks ain't high or whatever.
Right.
You could blame the organization all you want. I'm sure that's a real thing. And the roster wasn't great. But the bottom line is, if you are accepting the challenge of coming to the New York Knicks and everything that comes with that in the media and in New York City, not many stars will take that challenge. It is way easier to go play in Golden State and pair up with a good team, or, do your own thing in Phoenix. I know I feel like I'm signaling out Durant, but Carmelo Anthony took on the challenge of trying to bring greatness to New York City. And I think in flashes he did. He did not necessarily have the cast around him. So for that alone, to me, it's worthy, and I'm happy for him. And he's a great Knick, and he took the challenge. I just wish we didn't trade for him. I wish we just waited 3 months and signed him. But this is awesome for him. Very, very
Look,
happy.
Knicks are nice says, yep, that's why you got to respect Randall too. Ooh.
Facts.
Yeah, well, Randall's a different story because he wasn't coming here to save the team. He was supposed to be a stopgap, and he said, you know what? F that. I'm going to become an all-NBA guy. So it's like a flip to it in a way.
And I can't compare the two because Randall wasn't like this promising star that came to us. Like if you look at numbers from his rookie year, side by side, Carmelo's rookie year numbers were actually better than LeBron's. Side by side. The whole thing about like the NBA pretty much had this narrative of this guy coming to the NBA. He already had it won in the bag. Some people have that argument because if you look at the numbers side by side, Melo has an argument that he should have won it. So I can't compare the two because Randall wasn't that guy coming to the Knicks, like he developed into a greater player than he was before. So salute to him for that, but you can't compare the two when it comes to when they came to the team. But I'm with Jerry. Like one of my favorite quotes from one of my favorite movies is Almost Famous. And the quote is, the only true currency in this bankrupt world is what you share with someone else when you're uncool. And that is what the Knicks fans at that time had with Carmelo, is you're sharing something at a time that no one is respecting the New York Knicks. No one is thinking it's cool to come to the Knicks anymore. The Knicks hadn't been good since the Ewing era, like it was kind of a bad name for New York. And Carmelo said, you know what? I'm going to go and I'm going to lock into this culture there and I'm going to play hard. And we shared that with him in a time where we weren't considered anything. We shared that, and we shared the wins. We shared the experiences. So I would definitely, retire that number. To me, I don't see anyone coming into the league that is going to be able to like bear that burden, wear that number and me go, yeah, I see that. I agree with that. Just like if someone tried to wear 33, I'd be like, get the hell out of here. Like,
did you see that? That cat picture the other day with 33 wearing it?
No.
The disrespect.
Whoever
weird, bro.
that should get their Knicks fandom revoked. Get the hell out of here. But so I would definitely retire his number. I think that Melo will stand as one of the best to ever be in the orange and blue. We didn't do him right, like Jerry said. The pieces around him, like you put a piece of steak, like that's great, but you still need some sides. You still need
A little
some
mash.
Sides. Yeah, give me some mash. And don't give me mash that's been out for like 5 days. All right.
Don't give me some Raymond Felton mashed potato.
Yeah, don't give me the Felton Sotomayor mash. Like that's not okay.
That's hilarious.
Sotomayor mac and cheese, like that ain't it. Like it's stale. The cheese is hard.
For the fans out there that like to criticize Melo, you can't criticize Melo because he wasn't in that front office. He didn't go out there and make those deals. He had Tony Douglas as a point guard. Are you kidding me? He had Tony Douglas as one of his point guards out there. As much as I love Amon Shumpert, looking back on it, we should have drafted Jimmy Butler in that draft. We were just a few spots away from Jimmy Butler. We should have drafted Jimmy Butler. And then when we drafted Clee Anthony early, we were just 2 to 3 spots ahead from the Denver Nuggets who selected the Joker at the time. We needed a backup center to back up Tyson Chandler, but instead we pick up a small forward when we already had wings on the team. That's to go when the Knicks are always doing Knicks stuff.
Yeah, that's a movie, Hector. You just did a whole
No,
sliding doors movie. Like, I mean,
Like that,
imagine.
right? Like that. I appreciate
It's like
that.
if
Thank you so
Joker
much.
gets
Every
drafted to
Monday.
that Knicks team, he might not even be in the league anymore with the way the franchise was sort of operate. I mean, that's a great question. Like, are you destined to be great because of your ability no matter what? I'm a believer with a lot of these players because they're all great. Most of them coming in, like, situations are so important. And
well, when the Denver Nuggets, when they did draft him, they stashed him in Europe for 2 years. So if the Knicks would have drafted him in 2014, 2015, he would have came over in 2017. That's the year that Porzingis comes over.
Right. And don't forget, though, part of that trade was a future pick that I believe turned into Jamal Murray. Yeah. So put that down there, too.
We should have let Melo retire with us. I'm just saying.
No, facts.
We should have brought him back for one more year. We'd have a backup power forward right now. You know.
Ooh.
Yeah.
You know.
You're a clown, Phil.
that would be a New York Post story tomorrow.
Like, imagine that.
Get aggregated as we get more popular.
We bring in Melo, and he has a great scoring year, retires as a Knick. Beautiful story. Anyway, Jigga, you go.
All right. I think we've had a pretty good show. I think the first one back was pretty good.
Is it over? I got 15 more topics.
Hey, let's go.
He got 15 more Evan Fournier situations to work out.
Well, do you have the graphics for the Fournier film breakdown?
I don't. Yeah,
no,
we'll have it for Wednesday.
I sent that to you last night. I woke up in the middle of the night.
Did you see where Jerry said he wanted to trade for Vucevic so that they could have their pick and roll moments in New York?
We should break down that opening. Hey, look, the best betting call I ever made was 2 years ago when we opened up against the Celtics. And remember Fournier went off for like 41. Yeah.
Bro,
I bet his over-under points was 15.5. He had 15 in the first quarter. That was peak
you know
Fournier.
What? This is a good segue. Also, then I wasn't even planning to talk about this, but we'll actually be doing some playbacks throughout the season, guys, with Jerry. We've got certain games we'll be doing, but we're also going to go back and we're going to start the first one with a rundown of all the highlights from Evan Fournier's games.
That's not no. We're gonna do highlights, but it's not gonna be. We're gonna go back in the day and do highlights. But
I got one more.
Not Fournier.
Which one?
I got one. Just to let everybody know too, starting this season, whenever the Knicks are playing at home, you will see this beautiful face down by Madison Square Garden. I'm going to be doing some man on the streets interviews with different Knicks fans for the channel. So if you're out there, don't be scared. Come up to your guy, Hector. I don't bite. I'm very nice.
And if you get the answers right, there's some giveaways. We got some stuff attached to it. You know, everybody get with Hector.
I don't know about no giveaways for me.
Oh, yeah. No, you won't carry it. You won't carry it.
I was about to say, okay, cool. Because you try to get me to carry more shit down there, bro. I ain't trying to do that.
Giveaways. Some of those giveaways might be what I just posted right there. We got some merch right now on our website. We got some new Knicks Morning Brew guard up shirts, sweaters, and crew necks, and we will have coffee mugs and stickers and all that stuff in a few days. It's gonna be great.
I meant to say that to you guys. The fact that you guys didn't lead with the coffee cups. And it's a morning brew. You kind of, I'm just saying, should have maybe led with the coffee cup. Because look, you got me. I'm drinking out of this thing. I'd much rather have, a nice iced coffee in a Knicks morning brew coffee cup. But coming soon, right? Coming soon.
It is already there. It's in the works, and believe the link should be up this week for people to be able to order the Knicks morning brew. Let's go down the guest list a little bit, just a couple. All right. This Wednesday we got Fred Katz coming on the show, hanging out with us.
Your buddy.
Let's see, Friday for Content Creator Friday, we got Marshall Green from Chat Sports Knicks. He's coming to hang out with us that morning and open panel. You ready? You guys want to give a drum roll for this one? We got our boy John Starks joining the show November 1st. How you doing? Followed up by our boy Dexter Henry. Guys, we've got so much down the pipe. That's only the next 2 weeks, right? I mean, we could be here all night. Jerry just talking about here's this one and that one. But we'll stop just with this one because I thought this one was a highlight. John Starks, November 1st.
I can't wait for that one. I can't wait for that one. Again, guys, appreciate everybody that's in the chat. Like I always say, Our conversations, they're our conversations, but this channel and this show wouldn't be what it is without the interaction with the fans that are in the chat. We appreciate all of you guys. Like always, smack that like button, hit the subscribe button, and if you have a Facebook group, share this with your friends.
Yeah, and feel free to drop your grades in there for Jerry's first episode on the Knicks.
Hey!
Yeah, Jerry, man, we love that you're hanging out with us this season, man. Really appreciate that. It's gonna make this season that much more fun, and if we have a great season, we'll enjoy it together. If it seems to go the wrong way, we will be depressed together, but it's better to be depressed amongst 4 of us than just 3 of us, right? So
look at that. That's my mom's burner. That's my
There you
mom's
go.
burner account. She should have changed the picture. She's on the, and the name, Mom. We'll work on the burner.
That's how much she loves you, bro. She gotta keep your name in your face.
But
That was fun, fellas. More to come.
Yeah, appreciate everybody in the chat. We will see you guys Wednesday, 11 a.m. On that note, let's go Knicks. We out.
Deuces.